Yes. So storage yetu ni dams.
The dependence on rain-fed agriculture has contributed to food insecurity in sub-Saharan Africa, especially given the erratic rainfall patterns emerging. In order to increase food production, reduce poverty and mitigate against climate change, the development of appropriately managed irrigation programs are essential. This would allow conservation of water supplies and ensure future water needs are met. In situ moisture conservation such as semi-bands and zai pits, as well as rainwater capture and storage, play a very critical role in maximizing efficient water utilization, especially in areas where rainfall is quite low. This represents an innovative adaptation strategy necessary to cope with the increasing episodes of drought. Low crop yields resulting from degraded lands, low soil fertility, nutrient-depleted soils have been the hallmark of sub-Saharan Africa smallholder systems. This is set to become even worse given the short rains and increasing rainfall unpredictability in a landscape of low adaptive capacity of the farmers. However, farmers with the support of Pelham Kenya and its member organizations have tapped into the ingenuity to adapt to these problems.
Community mobilization against desertification CMAD was started back way in 1987 under the Catholic Diocese of Kisii. The organization was started due to concern by then the late Bishop Tiberius Mugendi, who had a concern on how Christians around the lake region can be fed because of food insecurity. As an institution, CMAD is a member organization of Pelham, Participatory Ecological Land Use Management. Some of the key agenda or issues that we are addressing include the climate change, include addressing the food security in relation to adapting and mitigating effects of the climate change that has been experienced.
The Community Mobilization Against Desertification Initiative, CMAD, has been championing the use of crop varieties that are tolerant to drought, as well as encouraging farmers to diversify the crops that they plant so as to minimize the risk of crop failure.
I work for CMAD as a cassava project officer. Clean planting materials sourced from Kari were distributed to 13 groups and 127 cluster farmers. These varieties are performing well, whether there is very little rain within the area, they perform very well.
Mahindi na hizi mimea zingine zilikuwa hazifanyi vizuri kwa hii area yetu sababu kulikuwa hakuna mvua ya kutosha. Na tunaona hii cassava ukikata na uweke tu chini ya udongo, ipate tu nyevu tu kidogo, tayari imetoka. Na ikishatoka hakuna kufa. Inamea tu vizuri. Sasa wakati wajua tunapalilia tu.
We are having a climate change project in Migwani district. We call it community-based natural resource management for climate change adaptation. So we are talking about agriculture. We are talking about, in agriculture we have livestock, we have crops, we have indigenous tree promotion, we also have water, that is soil and water sector, and then we have the energy sector. Due to extensive drought, even the cows are dying. So what are we saying? We have to improve the local goat breed which is there. So we have introduced the Gala breed, which is a hardy goat and is able to produce milk and also good meat.
Integrated in these systems is the seed-saving culture to ensure a constant supply of appropriate seed for traditional high-value crops and drought-resistant plants.
I work for Busia Environmental Management Program, which is, in short, it's BERMA. BERMA, we work mainly in Butula, a sub-county, and we also extend some of our activities within the county of Busia. And we also collaborate with other organizations, the ministry, line ministries, and then also we collaborate with Pelham Kenya. Pelham Kenya, as a member of Pelham Kenya, collaborate with around other 36 or 38 other NGOs around the country and we promote organic agriculture and ecological agriculture.
This is important because indigenous and local seed types are more adaptable to the changing climate and are integral requirement for a food secure future.
Hapo zamani tulikuwa tunakuza hizi mbegu za mahindi, mihogo, lakini ugonjwa ilikuja ikashika hizo mbegu zote na zikapotea kabisa. Sasa tukawa na shida ya kupata mbegu za hizo mimea. Mahindi pia ilishikwa na magonjwa, mihogo ikashikwa na magonjwa. Alafu kaona sasa what can we do, na tunataka tuwe wakulima, tulime ili tupunguze njaa. Basi nilikuja kaangalia kuwa sasa lazima turudi kwa zile vitu, yani mbegu ambazo zinaweza patikana kwa haraka ikiwa mkulima anataka, alafu mbegu zile zinaweza stahimili magonjwa, alafu na pia ambao zina resist drought.
Mbegu kama saka ama mbegu kama suja, mbegu kama mito, mbegu kama kunde, ni hiyo mbegu ambayo inastahimili jua. Na tena hiyo ndio watu wanapenda sana.
Changing rainfall patterns as well as increasing water scarcity has reduced the productivity of current cropping patterns. Through crop intensification, mixed cropping, and integration of high-value crops such as horticultural produce has become a lucrative venture. Crop diversification reduces susceptibility to climatic variability and crop failure. Such diversification has led farmers into agroforestry and reforestation. The Community Sustainable Development Empowerment Program (COSDEP) is working with farmers to plant trees in the upland forests. The benefits of forest go beyond provision of catchment area preservation, but can also serve as a means of diversifying the local food source mix. Ferdinand Wafula, the coordinating officer of biogardening innovations, believes that such efforts are critical since climate change has affected farming practices, rendering many at risk of food insufficiency.
This is a development organization that partners with different, both international and local organizations to do community development work. And we envision people working peacefully with the natural environment. Now, our work is to sensitize farmers on this changing phenomenon, and that they should actually have coping strategies. And among these strategies is actually having a diversified farming system, incorporating trees. And the trees are not just, it's not just wood. You don't look at trees as wood, but we look at trees as sources of food, sources of medicine, sources for renewable energy. That is now the wood. We are having food forests where farmers will have trees for production of more fruit, and not just for timber, but also harvest fruits and depend a lot on fruit, diversify their diets, integrate the annual crops and the perennial crops. That enables them to have a continuous food flow, and thereby reducing the periods when we have nothing produced in the fields. When we advocate for planting trees, we're not just advocating this for the purpose of climate change, but we are advocating planting of these trees for the purpose of enabling and enhancing livelihoods, sustainable livelihoods, because the destruction of the natural resource base will have a very, very big impact in future to the livelihoods and to the coming generations.
Trees are a critical component of ecosystem, providing food and shelter to numerous birds and animals. Agroforestry is therefore an important climate change mitigation strategy, given that trees have a natural carbon capturing property that ensures excess carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere.
The little land you have, we must make sure that if you are having even 3 acres, you have to plant some trees even in a quarter acre, so that if everyone can have some woodlot, plant some border trees, we shall take our environment back to where it was.
In farmers' minds, deforestation has become synonymous to climate change. In various parts of Kenya, uncontrolled deforestation in the last 2 decades or so of rapid agricultural expansion, and chiefly for cash crop monoculture and farmland, has brought numerous changes to rainfall patterns and continues to threaten the biodiversity of the surrounding areas as well as the integrity of water resources. Responding to the urgent need to minimize impact on the delicate watersheds within forests, Pelham Kenya is working with the Taita Taveta Wildlife Forum and the Community Sustainable Development Program, COSDEP, to improve the regulation of fresh supplies and restore micro watersheds, plant more trees for capture of large quantities of atmospheric carbon dioxide, promote the increase of biodiversity, and the indiscriminate cutting of trees has had severe consequences to the land in the affected areas. The effects of climate change have not only impacted agriculture, but also the natural biodiversity available in many regions.
Taita Taveta Wildlife Forum is a membership organization that deals in conserving our indigenous forests as well as the biodiversity that research has so far identified. We have about 14 species of fauna that are endemic and found only in Taita Taveta district, in the Taita Hills forests, and we also have 9 species of animals that are also identified only and found only in the Taita Hills. We'd like to actually link a lot of the changes that we've seen in the habitats to the activities that farmers are actually practicing. Climate change is affecting the species, and some of the species are actually like indicators to a degraded environment. We have butterflies that used to range the whole area, but right now we don't have them any longer in some of these areas. We have the Itatea Sicilian. It's an indicator of poor soils. And as we look at carbon as an important factor, the main carbon sinks we have in the soils are being depleted by the way we are actually doing our farming practices.
Pelham Kenya and partner organizations such as the Taita Taveta Wildlife Forum are active in ensuring that indigenous forests and their biodiversity are conserved for future generations. We have
linked up with several organizations, including Kenya Forest Services, Pelham, in assisting the communities to actually have best practices within their farming activities that will actually ensure that either the survival chances are improved of some of the species. Like here in Sagala, we're looking at the Sicilian, which is found in only 50 square meters. It's been able to spread due to our awareness creation, particularly in schools and the communities, and it has been able to be found now also habitating some of the farmlands where we find that they were actually extinct to some extent. But now we are looking at all the other Taita Hills forests that hold endemic species. These include Chavia, where we have the rare and endangered Taita Pallis. We have the Taita Thrush as well as the Taita White-eye. These are species that are endangered due to habitat loss. We are trying as much as possible to link different organizations through the community forest associations and people who are able to support the community forest associations, including Kenya Forest Services, the Kenya Forest Working Groups. We're looking at donors outside, including our partners like Pelham, who can actually bring on board other people who can fund the reduction of the endangered species in terms of their populations growing.
We have people who are doing programs in school teaching the young ones about the forest, the birds, the importance of it. And actually, also we have been participating in doing research in forests, trying to know more about birds, more about trees and our forests and the importance of the forest.
The lack of tree cover has seen soil erosion deplete the productivity of many farmlands, with consequent poor yields and increasing food insecurity. Pelham Kenya and its member organizations are helping farmers ensure soil fertility by encouraging steps to avoid soil erosion and nutrient loss.
When we are talking about the soil and water conservation, we are telling our farmers that they can do small solutions, like having earth pans, like having terraces, in order to maintain the moisture content in their farm for a longer time.
The massive extent of tree cutting that has been experienced in recent times has been driven by the huge energy demand required for domestic use. The quest for firewood and charcoal has led to more and more trees being cut to satisfy the ever-growing demand. Given the rapidly rising Kenyan population, this trend will not soon be reversed.
Hali ya anga kwa kweli imebadilika sana. Maana hapo zamani kulikuwa na mvua kubwa sana ilikuwa inanyesha sehemu hizi. Na hii mto ilikuwa ni mto mikubwa sana, sio hivyo ilivyo. Sasa hiyo yote imetokana na katika ukataji wa misitu yetu hii. Huko kulio pandwa chai hii mnayoiona huko kulikuwa hakuna chai zamani. Yote hii ilikuwa ni forest.
Huo ubadiliko wa hali ya hewa umesababisha pia kupotea kwa miti aina ya hiyo miti ya kienyeji. Miti kama hiyo inaitwa mlungu, munya, mavo, ndido. Sasa hizo miti zote saizi kuzipata ni shida. Zingine watu maana hizi miti kukua hazitaki kusumbuliwa. Mkulima ameendelea kusumbua miti hiyo na ameendelea kuingoa. Sasa sisi tukaonelea labda hata tuweke ile policy ya kutokata miti ovyo. Watu wenyewe ikiwezekana washikwe na washtakiwe wanakata miti ovyo. Tukaona kusaidia sio kuwashika tu na kuweka ndani, lakini tukaona afadhali tuanzishe nasari ya miti ya kienyeji. Ili miti hii iweze kupandwa hata katika mitengo na mahali ambapo hakutumiki kwa kilimo. Ipandwe kwa wingi, iwe kama vile msitu wa Nganga umekuwa vile.
Alternative energy sources and use of energy-saving cooking stoves is emerging as one way of better managing the cutting of trees for firewood. The promotion of efficient use of energy has not only reduced cutting down of trees, but also reduced respiratory problems caused by smoke from firewood.
We said it's good to try this, and the farmers actually went into trying the liners, and it's working so well. Now we are replacing the 3 stone cook stoves with the energy saving, the ceramic jikos, and we're training the farmers to mold the jikos and they be able to install them.
The energy saving jikos will ensure that the food that you cook using the firewood, you use less firewood for a longer period of time, and that saves the forest, that saves the children going to fetch the firewood at night, and even the mamas having to stay long hours fetching the firewood. And even in the energy saving jikos, we have introduced a new concept of tapping the solar so that you can use solar energy at night instead of using paraffin.
Effectively, mitigation against climate change will require a mix of various adaptation strategies. In response to these challenges, several of Pelham Kenya member organizations have been working with smallholder farmers to embrace energy efficient jikos.
Hizi majiko tunaifurahia sana sana, kwa maana imetusaidia vile tulianza kutengeneza. Uzuri wake haichukui kuni nyingi, kupika inapika vizuri.
Hiyo mambo ya kukuwa na jua kali ama ukame ilitokana na ukosefu wa elimu na watu kutotunza mazingira sawa. Sababu hatukuwa na elimu, hatukujua kama kuna haja ama inatusaidia kwa njia gani.
Many are already reaping the benefits of venturing into agroforestry.
Tutakuwa na ng'ombe safi, manake wanakula huko wanashiba. Hata dhara hii napier grass unaopanda itakuwa haraka kusokana na maji na wafuta.
The community now is able to get the medicine from the indigenous tree that they are replenishing again back into the forest.
Through application of adaptation and mitigation strategies promoted by Pelham Kenya and its member organizations, farmers are now better coping with these changes. The fight to gain control of food sufficiency continues, but project farmers may soon have an upper hand in this duel.
Mazingira ni kitu muhimu na ndio uti wa mgongo wa maisha ya kila kiumbe.
We need to be able to adapt in order to survive.
Koroti, koroti, kama shirule, washita hizi. Koroti, koroti, mama ya romurongi wa majiko. Koroti, kireya, koroti, korondeya, koroti, kireya, koroti, korondeya, koroti, papa ya romurongi wa majiko. Koroti, papa ya romurongi wa majiko. Koroti, kireya, koroti. Koroti.